The United States of America is the third largest country in the world. Despite having a population of over 300 million, 33.9% of America is forest land, and some of this area still remains uncharted. With thousands of sightings of mysterious creatures all over the United States, is it possible that something unidentified could exist out there? Recently, researchers found a live and very rare frilled shark living off of the coast of Portugal. This shark is considered a living fossil as it has remained unchanged in 80 million years. There are fossil remains which are much larger than any of the few living frilled sharks we have seen. Zoologists think that there could be an unknown, larger living relative of the frilled shark, and that they could be responsible for some of the sea serpent sightings. Extant species like the frilled shark remind us that nature and evolution do not always work as we would expect, so what unknown creatures could be lurking out there somewhere? Here are 5 mysterious creatures which have been spotted by multiple witnesses in America. California lizard man. The California lizard man is a large reptilian creature which is said to live in the swamplands of Lee County. Sightings first started in the summer of 1988. Local residents had been reporting extensive damage to their cars to the police. The cars were dented, covered in large scratches and bite marks, and part of the cars had even been chewed through. In one instance, the hood ornament had been ripped off and wires torn out of the car. The first actual sighting of the lizard man happened on June 29, 1988. A 17-year-old boy called Christopher Davis was driving home from work in the early hours of the morning when his tyre burst. He stopped on a road bordering the Scape Ore swamp to change the tyre, and that is when he saw the lizard man. He said, "I looked back and saw something running across the field towards me. It was about 25 yards away and I saw red glowing eyes. I ran into the car and as I locked it, the thing grabbed the door handle. I could see him from the neck down, the 3 big fingers, long black nails and green rough skin. It was strong and angry. I looked in my mirror and saw a blur of green running. I could see his toes and then he jumped on the roof of my car. I thought I heard a grunt and then I could see his fingers through the front windshield where they were curled around on the roof. I sped up and swerved to shake the creature off." Chris's family verified that when he returned home he was visibly shaken and terrified. His father later saw the reports of the strange car maulings in the local paper and so prompted his son to tell the police what had happened to him. Police found that his car wing mirror was broken and there were scratch marks on the top of the car which seemed to verify his claim. 2 weeks after the Davis sighting, police took plaster casts of some 14-inch 3-toed footprints, which they planned on sending to the FBI for further analysis. Unfortunately, they were then told not to do this after biologists told them the footprints were unclassifiable. Johnny Evans, who was a spokesperson for the South Carolina Marine Resources Department, said the footprints were not from any recorded animal. There were several more reports of a large lizard-type creature lurking around the swamp area. The police said there were enough reports from credible people for them to believe that this was definitely a real phenomena, but that they believed it was more likely a large animal like a bear. You could argue that people were mistaken about what they saw, but this does not explain the unidentifiable 3-toed footprints. I think it's a shame that the police were discouraged from any further investigation. The skunk ape. The skunk ape is a large hominid creature which has been sighted in North Carolina, but most commonly in Florida. It takes its name from the putrid smell reported from people who have encountered it. People have described it as smaller than other Bigfoot-type creatures and more like an orangutan. It is also supposed to be aggressive towards people. There was a large number of skunk ape sightings during the 60s and 70s. However, late in the year 2000, some anonymous and controversial pictures of an ape-like creature were mailed to the police department of Sarasota County, Florida, with many speculating that they were actual pictures of a skunk ape. The woman claimed to be a senior citizen who had taken the pictures in a bid to identify the creature that had been stealing apples from her porch. She said she thought the pictures were of an escaped orangutan. Many people think the pictures are a hoax, where others think the detail to the face, and most notably the eye shine, would be difficult to fake. I personally think the story and the fact she remained anonymous are markers of a hoax, but there are so many reported sightings of the skunk ape that I do think it's possible that an unknown creature could be living in this area. Skeptics think it's possible that people are really seeing a black bear. What do you think? Champ. Champ, also known as Champy, is a supposed marine reptile living in Lake Champlain, running through New York, Vermont, and part of Quebec, Canada. There have been over 300 reported sightings of Champ, and tales of a creature living in Lake Champlain date right back to Native American tribes who lived in this area. Witnesses describe Champ as looking similar to a plesiosaur, with a stout body and long neck. In 1977, Sandra Mancy claimed to have taken a picture of Champ while on holiday with her family. The photograph was accepted by some as one of the best pieces of photographic evidence of a cryptid creature ever taken. Some remain skeptical though, and think the picture shows nothing more than a log floating on the surface of the water. Skeptics also found it strange that Sandra and her husband could not give a definite location of where it was taken, and could not supply the negative of the photograph. They claimed that they never kept negatives of any photos, but this was deemed as unusual in these days, as negatives were the only way of ever replicating a photograph if it got lost or damaged. People have remained divided over the picture ever since. In 2005, however, some video footage was captured by a fisherman and his stepson while out on the lake. You can see something near the surface of the water which could be the head and long neck of the same creature seen in the Mancy photograph. Two retired FBI forensic image analysts said the video was not manipulated or tampered with. What do you think it shows?
And now, new exclusive video, obtained by ABC News, of something just under the surface, has brought Champ back into the news and back from the memory of Lake Champlain residents by a couple of respected upstate New York fishermen who, on a summer afternoon last year, captured something on their digital camera.
As big around as my thigh, I'd say.
It made my hair stand on end at the time. It just didn't fit anything, any kind of creature that I'd ever seen.
Now, these two guys are not crackpots. They've lived around Lake Champlain all their lives and were skeptical about the legend of Champ until they saw this mysterious wake. Unfortunately, their story is much more vivid than their video.
Boy, that looks like a serpent.
What we saw always stayed right on the surface, and parts of it would come above the water, the back or the nose or the head.
What in hell is that thing?
But Champ is camera shy, and the fishermen say this is the best picture they could get.
I'm 100% sure of what we saw. I'm not 100% sure of what it was.
The tape is authentic. Two retired FBI analysts reviewed it for ABC News.
I can't find anything in there that would suggest or indicate to me that this has been fabricated or manipulated in any way. However, there's no place in there that I can actually see an animal or any other type of object on the surface.
Just an odd wake that for now merely adds to the further mystery of Champ, a legend that swims just below the surface and just out of camera range.
To further support Champ's existence, in 2003, the Fauna Communications Research Institute recorded sounds within the lake which sounded similar to a dolphin or beluga whale. Neither of these live in the lake, so what could have produced the recording? I think it seems clear from the video footage and underwater recording that something large is living within Lake Champlain. The question is it just a member of the crocodile family, as some have suggested? or something else undiscovered. The Sabine Thing. The Sabine Thing is the name given to a Bigfoot-type creature thought to live in the dense forest areas of Sabine, Texas. There have been many sightings of a large, grey-haired, bipedal creature throughout the area for at least the last 30 years. Many of the sightings have been from experienced hunters who are very familiar with the animal population within the area, and they would not be easily confused by what they have witnessed. The Gulf Coast Bigfoot Research Organisation are convinced the Sabine Thing exists after doing thorough investigations. They claim that several people within the group, including the founder Bobby Hamilton, have actually seen the Sabine Thing. They also claim to have recorded vocalizations of an unknown animal and have collected hair samples which could not be identified by primatologists. Several people from the Texas Bigfoot Research Center also claim to have seen the creature. Here is an alleged sighting of the Sabine Thing. Do you think it's a genuine unidentified primate, or is he mistaken?
When I grew up, it was always referred to as Cryptids, which is a Cajun word that means boogeyman. A lot of people around here don't want to admit that they believe in the Sabine Thing because they don't want to get ridiculed, they don't want to get made fun of, they don't want to be belittled, but in secret, they believe. We'd fished all day, and we had caught quite a number, and we would skin our fish at that hand pump well, and we would leave the entrails on the ground for raccoons or hogs or whatever to come and eat during the night, and we would slip back over there with a flashlight and shine them, and we'd shoot them. I told my friends, I said, come on, let's go over and check out the gut pile and see what's hitting the guts. And of course, nobody wanted to go. I could see that there was something eating at the guts. And I raised my rifle. And when I got probably about 20 yards, it stood up. It stood up on two legs. I was terrified. It was looking me dead in my eyes. It was very similar to human eyes. I've been hunting these woods ever since I was born. I've never seen anything like this. I was really scared. I stayed awake all night long, clutching that .22 rifle, waiting for the sun to come up. And on the ground right by the gut pile, there were tracks. And I wear a size 14 triple E. And with my shoe on, I could step in the footprint. My friends still wouldn't believe it. So at that moment, I decided not to tell another person. I kept my encounter with the Sabine Thing a secret. I didn't tell a soul.
The Snallygaster. The Snallygaster was an unknown creature said to inhabit the hills of Washington, D.C. and Frederick Hills, Maryland. The first reports of the creature came from German immigrants in the early 1730s who documented being terrorized by a ghastly flying creature which they nicknamed the Snallygaster, meaning quick spirit. Accounts of the creature started again in Maryland in 1909. The first person to see it was James Harding, who described it as having enormous wings, a long sharp beak, claws like steel, and one eye in the middle of its forehead. Some people describe it as having a large tail, and even some saying it had octopus-type tentacles. Multiple people also claimed it made loud, screeching noises and would swoop down at people from the sky. People would paint 7-pointed stars on the outside of their homes in a bid to keep the creature away, and some of these stars can still be seen on the outside of barns to this day. The Middletown's local newspaper, the Valley Register, ran stories on all the sightings, creating quite a bit of hype around the story. At one point, President Theodore Roosevelt even considered postponing one of his trips to go and personally hunt the Snallygaster. The Smithsonian Institute also offered a large reward for anyone who could produce the creature's hide. Stories of the Snallygaster have been written in several local newspapers, as well as National Geographic and Time magazine. Despite numerous eyewitness accounts of the creature over the years, there has never been any proof of its existence. The Washington Post sponsored a search in 1975 but failed to find anything. I have to admit some of the claims about the Snallygaster do seem very outlandish, but all of these people must have been witnessing something, even if the stories have become mixed with legend. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and there will be an ongoing series of videos gradually covering all of the cryptid creatures from all over the world, so keep an eye out for those in the future if you're interested in this topic, and thanks for watching and see you in the next Mystery Sphere video.